Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the week that was in pro wrestling. And honestly, pretty interesting week, as I'm going to cover NWA Power and AEW Dynamite. So I hope you sit back, relax, and let's get into it. First, we cover NWA Power. We start off with like a mix highlight reel of the Samhain main event, which was supposed to be Thrillbilly versus Latimer, but then Cardona took him out, so Cardona took the match and got pretty much. Actually, that was a pretty good match, I'll admit. Then we get the continuation of the Thrillbilly Latimer feud up until the main event from last week, which was that honestly left a bit to be desired. But we are going to move forward, as our first match of the evening is TVMA. So this is Tiffany Nieves and her new partner now, Greta, who is a giant, taking on Giselle Shaw and Natalia Markova. So it does look like we're getting Nieves versus Markova at some point. I assume either at Crockett Cup or at some other point in the near future. I will say this. Nieves, Shaw, and Markova, great chemistry. They're great in the ring together. Greta is a bit one note. Now, I'm not expecting everyone to be this technical savant, but she gave vibes of the Great Khali, in which she had size, but could barely move, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of the vibe I got from Greta. And honestly, like I said, big old back and forth. Greta attempts a choke slam near the end. No, hits the choke slam on Shaw. That left Nieves and Markova in the ring. Nieves goes for a big splash. That misses. Markova with a roll through for the victory. So, like I said, I don't think we are going to see... I don't think that's going to be the feud ender. I think this is going to continue either with a one-on-one with Nieves or potentially a triple threat, which I could get behind. Like I said, 3 out of the 4 participants, absolutely love them. They're great in the ring. Greta needs a little bit of work because she's, right now, personality-wise, she's, generic monster, which sometimes nothing wrong with that. I don't mind a generic monster now and again. There needs to be a bit more depth with her character. All I'm gonna say. So then we cut to backstage with Aaron Stevens and his crew. They're about to hype up. They're all hyping up their accomplishments recently. Then the slime balls come in, and we get the, green overlay filter with the slime around the screen, with the slime balls hyping their recent title defense. And then Stevens turns to him like, no, enough. And the filter cuts out. Slime balls are a little disappointment. And then he throws it over to Slate, who talks about his upcoming match with Damian Fenrir, where he's going to suplex him around the ring, and the only option it will be to tap. So, nice, interesting little promo. Showing the different characters in this group, including the Slime Balls, which we'll get to them a little later, because they got a match. Anyway, go to a different part of backstage with Tom Latimer, calling Thrillbilly the better man, which, that's big of him. But then he continues, after I tried to show him respect, he blows me off. It shows me the kind of man you are. Thrillbilly, no doubt our paths will cross again, and I've got some receipts with your name on it. Nice little promo, hyping up a continuation of their story down the line. I'm definitely going to be interested to see who steps up to Thrillbilly next, because we got some options. So next up, I'm going to say the best match on NWA Power. We got Damian Fenrir, bit more of a high flyer, taking on Slade, who is the current junior heavyweight champion, and is more of a ring technician. And that contrast showed out in this match. You had Fenrir flying around like a madman. Although not completely flying around, he still did some interesting technical stuff. But Slade, overall the technician, like, honestly, that I couldn't hype up Slade anymore. After Fenrir goes for a big splash, it gets caught. Slade with the Slade Slam, aka the Angle Slam, right into the Slade Lock, the Ankle Lock, for the tap out victory. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting little feud going forward. Again, I don't think this is going to be the end of these two. I think eventually we'll see Fenrir be the one to dethrone Slade, which at least I hope so. And like I said, this was the best match of the night. Not to say they were all bad, but I'll give my thoughts on that at the end. So then, go backstage again to a Teal Piper promo. If you don't know who this is, she is the daughter of the late Rowdy Roddy Piper. She's got the kilt colors on her outfit. She even talks a little bit like him, which is, kind of funny. Where she says, Kenzie, I see you running like you own the place. This house was built by rowdy ones. A little bit on the nose, Teal, but I like that. Well, now I'm here to rebuild it. And I'm going to have to do that by moving you first. And I'm here to tame the Broken Kingdom. I love that. Bringing a little family history to the NWA. I love this. And I'm excited to see what Teal does in the future. So then we get this weird Bit Crush segment. If you don't know, it's like a video game store in whatever part of town they're in. They got the dude on the register with the wool cap and seemingly smoking the ganja. And then the country gentlemen are in there with Joe Kazana in his face asking about legal issues, about how, can he actually get through this with Billy Corgan, etc., etc. So then the guy on the register turns to him and says, yeah, sorry, I got nothing with you. And then the entire time, for whatever reason, the lost her with this guy. So I don't know if this is going to be like Crazy Steve's alternate identity or something. But yeah, this was weird. I don't know with what the heck this was for, but yeah, it's whatever. So then we get a little bit more NWA history highlights, which I absolutely love these. Especially going back to like the 70s and 80s, like Dusty Rhodes holding the NWA title. Definitely really cool. Then we get a little promo from the Immortals, telling the country gentlemen it's time to step out of the kids section, aka the United States Tag Team Title Division, and step up to us. The Immortals are no one's prey. We are predators to all. Which, great little line, hyping up a future match, which, honestly, I absolutely agree. It's time for the country gentlemen to move up to the heavyweight tag title division. Take on the Immortals. I'm there for it. Next up, bit of an impromptu tag title match, but I do understand you want to highlight some of the new guys. So you got the United States Tag Team titles on the line as the Slime Balls defend against the team of Jack and Eddie. This is my first time seeing Jack and Eddie, and I tell you, they impressed. While they didn't get a ton in on the Slime Balls, they definitely got enough to impress me, with the Slime Balls eventually winning via the Snot Rocket. And, yeah, honestly, overall, entertaining enough match. I do wish it was given teeny tiny little bit more time, because it kind of felt like it was stuck in second gear. Like, it just got out of first when the match ended, so it wasn't really given enough time to breathe. And I understand not every match needs to go half an hour to an hour. I just wanted it to go a little bit more. Anyway, then we go back to backstage for a promo from Kenzie Page and Kylie Page, with them still arguing about Kylie's foot being in the ropes in the tag match against Teal Piper and Bird Lady. And then Kylie actually challenges Teal's partner, I am blanking on the name, I'm sorry, to a submissions match next week, which, that's pretty cool. And then Kenzie, with honestly one of the coolest lines I have ever heard out of her, saying, we're out here to chew bubblegum and to kick ass. And to beat Teal Piper, well, guess what? We're all out of bubblegum. So, if you don't know, Teal's father was in a movie back in the day called They Live, which is about, the Roddy's character. I forget his name. It'll probably come to me one day. Finding corruption within his community, a la aliens in magic glasses. Like, it is one of the weirdest movies I've ever watched as an adult, but the message is there. And he has this badass line, and I feel like everyone has seen it because of like memes or tweets or whatever, where he's holding his shotgun, he's walking into a bank with the glasses on, so he sees the aliens in disguise, steps in and says, I'm here to chew bubblegum and to kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Now, obviously, I could have misquoted that. I do apologize if I did. That's probably one of the greatest lines I have ever heard. And to hear it in a wrestling promo, honestly, I feel like that's kind of cool. It's like connecting universes almost. Honestly, I want more stuff like this. So then we get Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox backstage. Looks like they're out in the car park or something. With them hyping up beating... oh God, what was his name? Eric Stevens, I believe his name was. A.K.A. the Wall Brother. And then Knox brings up Pretty Boy Smooth. Post-match, hitting Murdoch with a chair. So, Murdoch reveals to the camera, finally, I gave EC3 a little bit of advice, and he got butthurt by it. Big man, I'm coming for you, and I'm coming to take you down. A Murdoch Pretty Boy Smooth match. Not something I had on my 2026 calendar. That's going to be a hoss fight. That's going to be awesome. Oh, next match up, we got Kenzie Page taking on Teal Piper. And we kind of get a similar vibe to this like we got in the US tag title match. Like, Teal definitely got some good stuff in. Got to show her stuff, including a couple of times trying to lock in Rowdy's sleeper finisher on Kenzie, but Kenzie eventually getting out of it. And Kenzie hits a Kenzie cutter to finish the match. I'm going to say a bit too quickly. Again, just give me a couple more minutes with this so it can get out of first gear. Like, this match felt like it didn't even get out of second gear. But overall, it is what it is. I do hope they have more of an involved match down the road. But, yeah, I can't help but be a little bit disappointed. So next, going backstage for an Alex Taylor promo, where he's complaining about how NWA just takes, and I give. And they keep telling me who I'm supposed to be, and they have no idea how vindictive and petty I can be. I want my gold back. I want everything that was mine back. That was taken from me back. So he's slowly losing it. I think after a couple more losses, which is the way I think this is going, maybe he joins the Lost. I'm not sure. But yeah, either way, this is going to be a little interesting. Then we get a hype video for a match I never knew I wanted, but I'm honestly happy I got. We got Aaron Stevens taking on Alex Misery. Got a little hype video for that, which was very cool. Go backstage once again for a promo from The Lost, saying that Stevens hasn't really paid any price, and that you've awakened something you're not ready for. So some fighting words from Alex Misery and his lost compadres. See what I did there? Anyway, next up, very interesting in-ring interview this time with Kobe Carino, the Prince of Old School, the son of Steve Carino. Interviewers trying to ask him about his return date. And he's saying, I'm not sure about right now, but I got a lucky update. At that point, we see Carson Drake Jack Vaughn and his partner, aka the Hard Way, come out. Kobe bails. And Carson Drake gets on the mic, says, "Yeah, that's good. You should have left. These guys would have dumped you out and re-injured your neck." So then he continues on the microphone saying, "We've got a redneck as a champion. He's the best in wrestling. But to be a real world champion, you've got to beat me. But you can't beat me." Okay, Carson. I guess this is more to fuel the fire of the Kobe Carino feud without them, taking bumps. It's definitely good to see Kobe back because he's honestly a very underrated wrestler. Hopefully he can come back from this injury ready to go. But yeah, this promo was super weird. Anyway, now we're going back to Bit Crush again. This time it's Daisy Kill, and he's complaining to the guy on the register, saying he set him up for this open challenge thing. I wasn't expecting Morton. Let me tell you, I don't like freaks. Then the Lost walk in. No, Mike Mondo walks in. Kind of pushes Daisy Kill out of the way. Says, "Look, we meet again. While I don't like freaks," then there's a little pause, "but what you did for me was great. I'm now the national championship, and maybe I like freaks after all." So then the Lost surround Mondo with Alex Misery saying, "Look, congratulations, champ." Actually, this is the guy on the register saying this. Saying, "From one freak to non-freak, congratulations." So then we go to our main event, which, honestly, this was very strange. And we have Wrecking Ball Legursky teaming up with El Dragon Nihon, in which Legursky was teaming with someone else the week prior, so I don't know what this is. Taking on the Pope and Mims. And with Mims in there, it was pretty much a hoss fight between all three of them. But Pope used a little bit more finesse and speed to try to outsmart the big guys. But after an attempted power slam by Mims, you get a kick, big old power bomb by Legursky, and your winners are Legursky and El Dragon Neon. So, I guess they're tag partners now? They're the new fixers? I'm not sure what to make of this team. It's definitely going to be interesting. And the match itself, once again, kind of suffers from not having a ton of time. Although I do understand Legursky isn't exactly the most technical wrestler, but I feel like Mims and Pope could do a little bit more to help him out, help him make him look credible, decent. So yeah, that'll do it for me for the NWA. Overall, a very confusing episode. Like I don't know. I feel like certain segments feel like they're repeating. Matches aren't given nearly enough time as I think they should. But overall, I do feel like I was pretty entertained by NWA this week. And I'm looking pretty forward to what happens next week. And then last but not least, we got AEW Dynamite. Start off with a nice little color rundown. And we cut to the back for a Babes of Wrath / Mega Bane promo, hyping up their match later on, which, that should definitely be fun. Although, considering I know what happens, we'll see. Then we get a video recap of the situation on Collision between FTR and the Young Bucks, with FTR attacking the Young Bucks family, who was sitting ringside. So that feud definitely got a bit more personal. Then we go to our first match, and it's an AEW Continental title eliminator match. So it's not a title match, but if the challenger wins, they get a future title shot. We got Jon Moxley taking on El Clone. If you don't know who El Clone is, there is a character in AEW called Hologram, in which he's supposed to be a living computer code. And then El Clone is his corrupt version. But considering now Hologram is out hurt and has been for a little while, El Clone and Hologram couldn't feud. So now El Clone has joined the Don Callis family and has been honestly really good for them. And this match was honestly a ton of fun. You had the sheer just brutality of Jon Moxley taking on maybe not the full high-flying ability of El Clone, but he definitely did some interesting stuff, including a spot we had Jon Moxley on the outside. El Clone hits the ropes, skips over to the other side, moonsaults on the Mox, which that was absolutely nuts. A couple of times El Clone blocks the paradigm shift. And then after a block of a Death Valley driver, you have a paradigm shift back to back with a Death Rider, which honestly they both look the same to me. So your winner, Jon Moxley. And we got a big matchup ahead of us for Revolution, as we got Moxley taking on Takeshita, which I am so looking forward to that. So next up, we got highlights from Elijah Burke. Swerve Strickland heel turn on Kenny Omega from last week. Then we see a shot of the announce table with Prince Nana walking in. He has a microphone. He says, "You think Swerve cares about a $100,000 penalty and a week off? So now I'll introduce to you the most dangerous man in AEW." This brings out Swerve Strickland, although to no music, and he kind of just shows up at the announce table. So he has a microphone. He says, "You miss me, sickos?" Which, great line. Love that. If you don't know, that's what some in the internet community calls AEW fans, which, definitely fine with that. So, Swerve continues. "You would enjoy what I did to Omega. Y'all enforced the announce table since I rammed Kenny through it last week. Whatever happens next to him is on him. And he has the nerve to call someone else the most dangerous man in AEW. You challenged me as a threat, and you're just another EVP I took down." And And then someone said something in the crowd. I did not catch what was said, but apparently Swerve heard him and said, "Yo mama boy," which, nice little fourth wall break. I love when real issues mesh well with wrestling, and that definitely did. So Swerve continues, saying, "I made a killing the last 3 years of taking out the Elite." Going back to the conversation I had with Hangman, he asked me if I had any regrets, and I told him I did. But going forward, I'm going to choose to live with no regrets. To the entire AEW roster, you're on notice, and if you get in my way, I'll take you out. So, nice little promo from Swerve, and he got plenty of boos from the crowd. This new Swerve heel turn has definitely worked out well. And, yeah, we're going to see what happens at Revolution. Don't you worry. So next, we get a little backstage promo from Brody King, saying, "Swerve, you got a problem with me. Well, I've got problems with you too. And next week, I'm going to prove to you I deserve to be in line for the AEW title." So, yeah, nice little promo. You had Bandito with him, which, good to see friends supporting each other. And then you go to this very interesting matchup. We got Orange Cassidy taking on Gabe Kidd. And this low-key was a banger of a match. You obviously got the silliness of Orange Cassidy, the hands in the pockets, the little kicks. Then we got the intensity of Gabe Kidd. Dude feels like he's about to kick Orange Cassidy's head clean off his shoulders at times. They go back and forth for a while. Near the end, Cassidy attempts an orange punch, but Kidd pulls the referee in the way. Then as Cassidy is stopped, Gabe Kidd moves the ref out of the way, pokes Cassidy right in the eyes, and then hits a pile driver for the win. But then we see Gabe Kidd waving someone down. It's Clark Connors, and they just beat down Darby Allin. Orange Cassidy. Until Darby Allin's music hits, he comes in. Then he rolls his skateboard towards Clark Connors, so it stops right in front of him, springboards off the skateboard into a code red onto Connors, in which that was crazy. Then Gabe Kidd was ready for an attack. He eats an orange punch, and then we see Darby riding his skateboard, kind of ollieing off Gabe Kidd into Clark Connors. So, I'm not sure if this match is going to be put on pay-per-view. I kind of hope it does, because I do think this feud is pay-per-view worthy. Match itself was really, really entertaining. Really interesting clash of styles. Overall, it was definitely well worth watching. So next we go to an interview segment with Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander. We start with Rosa saying, "That title is what made my career." Then we hear Statlander not fully say this. "Be careful." And apparently she said it loud enough that Thunder Rosa heard her. Turns towards her and says, "You really think I can't do this?" So then Statlander attempts to bring up the Sisters of Sin and how dangerous this match potentially is. Then Rosa then says, "It's clear you don't know me, but I don't do careful." And she storms off. Interviewer asks Statlander another question. I didn't quite catch it. But Statlander just kind of rolls her eyes and walks off. I'm not sure what's going to happen in this feud. I do think eventually we'll get Statlander versus Thekla again. Maybe not at Revolution, but maybe down the line at Double or Nothing, maybe. But yeah, right now, women's division is doing at least a decent job of trying to make the title feel important. Then we get this out of nowhere match. I don't think it was advertised anywhere. We got Kevin Knight going one-on-one against Mansoor of the MNM Collective. So yeah, if you don't remember this guy, in WWE he was one half of I want to say it was LA Knight, but I forget his name at that point. Essentially they're fashionistas. And yeah, overall this was a decent little match in which Kevin Knight won with a DVD UFO splash combo. And I'm going to say this match went absolutely the right amount of time. But then post-match, Kevin Knight gets a microphone, says, "Well, that felt good, getting another win." We got the Hangman MJF pick of their stipulations later on. And if the match is a Texas death match, Hangman would whip the floor with MJF. But Hangman, after you win at Revolution, I'd love to be your first challenger. And for the rest of y'all, hopefully you enjoy this view. Because the Jet isn't just the future, he's the here and now. Kevin Knight absolutely needed this promo to kind of further his push a little bit more. And this kind of spoils the segment that went on next with MJF and Hangman about the stipulation at Revolution, which we'll get to in a second. But overall, the match itself was fine. I'm really not the biggest Mansoor fan. He did decently in WWE and in other places I've seen him. Overall, he's more of a character than an actual wrestler, which is the nicest way I can put that. So next we get the MJF Hangman Page pick the stipulation segment. Hangman comes out first, MJF second. Then MJF says to the crowd, "When the greatest champion in AEW history is talking, you keep your mouth shut." Chorus of boos. So MJF finally turns over to Hangman, says, "Last week you were brave to offer up your career so when you inevitably lose, you can't challenge for the AEW title again. And I'll be the second man I ended the AEW career of, and under no circumstances will you fans have any say in the pick of this stipulation." So, MJF, what is he referencing? Basically, the first time when he was world champion, Cody challenged. Actually, was that MJF? I don't think so. Yeah, that was Jericho. Jericho and Cody had the match where if Cody lost, he wouldn't challenge for the AEW title. And he, up until the end, he did. He kept his promise. which I know pissed a lot of people off, but yeah, it's definitely a little interesting. Then MJF turns to Hangman and says, hold on, I gotta throw out my gum in the garbage. So he spits out the gum in his mouth, tosses it into the crowd, which, oh, that is old school heat right there. I love that. That is great. So anyway, MJF continues. So I've got a way to do this fairly. Brings out a quarter. Says, tails, we'll do the Texas Death Match. Heads, we're going to do my match, which is a one-way, no DQ match. For those of you not in the know, that would mean MJF would be able to use weaponry, but Hangman would not be, which I can't remember the last time that stipulation was ever really picked for a match, but yeah, it's definitely something I could see MJF picking. So Hangman then gets on the microphone saying, you hypocrite, you think we're all that dumb? Oh no, this is MJF still. Are you a cowboy or a coward? So then Hangman takes a look, says, let's go. Then Hangman continues, but who would you be if I brought in a broken bag of glass, spat it out, and dragged you through it? Or what if I find a strand of barbed wire and tear your youngest out? That doesn't make sense. I definitely missed something on the notes here. I apologize. Hangman continues. Who would you be if your tricks didn't work? Because if it is Texas Death Match, you won't stand a chance. So this sets MJF off a little bit, saying, I could beat you in any type of match I want. Hangman then says, I put my entire future on the line. I want this to be it. And leave no doubt who the better man truly is. And if I can't beat you in the Texas Death Match, I don't deserve this title. But MJF, no, I understand you. Feeling like you got the lucky shot. Let's flip the coin and see what fate holds. So MJF flips a coin and it lands on heads. So MJF is about to wrap up. He grabs the coin, goes to leave, with Tony Schiavone announcing the one-way no DQ match. But Hangman thinks for a minute, looks out over at MJF, says, wait, MJF, give me the coin. MJF talks back, I'm not doing any of that. You lost. The fates have decided. I'm out of here. He goes to leave out of the trunk. He goes to leave. Jet speed come out of one of the tunnels, stop him. MJF tries to go backstage the other way. Rodito are stopping him. They back him back into the ring, saying, who do you think I am? So then MJF gives up the coin. Hangman flips it, once again landing on heads. It is revealed that this coin is weighted and obviously a non-starter. So then MJF is kind of groveling a little bit, saying, no, we can do it again. Who's got a coin? We can use a different coin. At that point, Tony Schiavone pretty much says, according to Tony Khan, with this clearly cheating coin. Our AEW World Title match will now be a Texas Death Match. And you see the dread on MJF's face. Like, I'm gonna say this. That was an awesome segment. We get a taste of both characters' ideals. Here's my only issue. And I've said this multiple times for a while. AEW can definitely use with a little matchmaker / authority figure. Because I feel like Hangman checking the coin, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't do anything for me. I feel like and then you just get the announcement from Tony Schiavone, which feels kind of anticlimactic. At least to me, I feel like with a person in charge, could it come down, check the coin, maybe say, alright, let me talk to Tony Khan about this, pop out for like a couple of seconds, come back in and announce Tony Khan's decision, playing up the drama a little bit more, and adding something to AEW's presentation that I feel like is missing. And honestly, I think that's about it for me. Not for AEW, but I think I'm going to stop beating this dead horse. And, I don't know, hope Tony Khan hears me. Next, we get highlights from the Brawling Birds. So if you don't know, this is Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter, who have come together to be a team. And they just had their first match on Collision, which that was pretty... No, it was on Dynamite. That's where it was. So then we go to a promo with them, saying, we got a couple words from the Birds, which, great line. You saw what we did out there to our opponents last week. We're not here to have a good time. We're here to beat the shit out of you. And we don't give a flying... Which, great tagline. I kind of hope they make a shirt out of that. That would be awesome. Next up, this little matchup. We got the AEW Women's Tag Team titles on the line, as we got Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford taking on Willow Nightingale and not Jamie Hayter, Harley Cameron for the tag team titles. And this match overall, when Bayne and Willow started off, absolute hoss fight. Harley obviously getting better as time goes on. Definitely has some chemistry with Bayne. Maybe not so much with Ford. Because after a big dive to the outside, we see Penelope Ford. It didn't even look like she was struggling, but it definitely felt like she definitely missed. There was a spot missed, because after the commercial break, we heard from the commentators that Ford was still down in agony. So, at that point, we see Lena Cross, who has kind of become the third member of Megabad, takes one half of the women's tag team titles, attacks Willow with it. So, Babes of Wrath win via DQ. Bayne and Cross then attack Babes of Wrath post-match. And, yeah, that's how this match ended. So, in the moment, I was definitely a little disappointed, because I was thinking, why is Cross doing this? Does she know she cost her partners tag team title opportunity. And then I heard about the injury, and then that pretty much just went away. I do hope Penelope Ford gets better soon. And yeah, we'll see what we get moving forward. Overall, the match itself was fine, but I am not going to rate it overall because of the injury. And I just hope Harley Cameron shows up soon. But then we go to this match, a bit of horse fight. So we get Brody King taking on Mark Davis. And I do not want to hear any Mark Davis slander. He has been one of the underrated signings for AEW. He goes out there, he puts on his best match, and like I said, this was a horse fight. They threw haymakers at one another. But your winner, after a big old lariat, Brody King. Then post-match, we see Bandito out to celebrate. They're in the ring. Then Brody gets a microphone. And actually, before you get there, during the match, I had the most interesting dueling chant I have ever heard in my life. As it was an F Don Callis, because of Mark Davis's association with the Callis family. Then we hear an equal F Ice 2, which AEW, you're doing me proud, boys. Well done. AEW crowd, at least. So Brody, anyway, post-match, Brody gets on the microphone saying, "Swerve, look into my eyes and tell me exactly who I am. I am the most dangerous man in AEW, and at Revolution, I'm looking for a fight." So then the camera cuts to backstage, where we see Swerve and Nana looking on, which they don't really accept it. But honestly, yes please. That match would absolutely rule. But then Bandito gets on the microphone and says, "Hey, I want to fight too." Then out comes Andrade El Idolo, along with Don Callis. And honestly, those two matches, hook them up to my veins. Yes, please. Those are going to be awesome. Put them right on the pay-per-view. Let's get this thing going. So then we cut to backstage with Kyle Fletcher. He's finally back from his vacation. And he turned the strap of the TNT title pink. Which, that looks awesome. Anyway, so Fletcher is asked about Tommaso Ciampa, with Fletcher saying, "Ciampa's new here. He should be careful what he wished for. He came for the best and fell short. I'm not going to back down to you as the greatest TNT chit." Then he kind of gets cut off as Okada walks in, saying, "Glad to see you back and at your best. I consider you one of the best ever. So on Collision, why don't we team up as Proto-Kata?" Proto-Kata. So I am not sure what's going on with this. I feel like Okada either needs to feud with someone for the international title, or he needs it taken off of him, because he's just doing nothing with that title. And look, I'm not saying I need to see him every week, but he feels kind of like a side character right now. And whether that's due to current storylines or have AEW having too many men's singles titles, either way, he doesn't feel elevated as champion. So hopefully that changes in the next couple weeks or so. We get some sort of international title match at the pay-per-view. Or, hear me out, we get Proto Okada versus Bro Dito at the pay-per-view. Ooh, I wouldn't say no to that. But anyway, like I said, neither here or there. Then we go to this very, very weird main event, as it's Mile High Madness, anything goes. And honestly, it was anarchy in the arena. Basically, they fought all over the arena, used every weapon they could. And with Jack Perry's music just blaring in the background. And yeah, this was absolute chaos, but in the absolute best way possible. That is the only way I can describe this. Because this didn't feel like the usual plunder match. This felt like a war with people who really don't like each other. Anyway, match comes to an end with the Young Bucks tossing, I believe it was Ricochet, to the outside through the table. Rascals hit the hot. Oh, I didn't even tell you the participants. One side, we have FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, the AEW Tag Team Champions. The Demand, which is Tona Leona, Bishop Khan, and the AEW National Champion, Ricochet, taking on the Young Bucks, that's Matt and Nick Jackson. The Rascals, which is Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier, although Myron Reed did get involved. And then their last partner, Jack Perry. And like I said, this match was absolute chaos, finishing again with the Young Bucks tossing, it might have been one of FTR actually, to the outside through a table. Rascals with the hot fire flame. Jack Perry with the big destroyer. Young Bucks with the PTE trigger. And then Jack Perry wheels back around with a Boost Psycho knee to pin Ricochet and win the match for his team. So I feel like this is going to be the setup for the rematch between Perry and Ricochet for the national title. I'm not sure if they're going to put it on pay-per-view. I do believe they should. But overall, yeah, that was just an absolutely chaotic, entertaining matchup. It felt very different from the recent plunder matches we have gotten across the wrestling landscape. So, yeah, overall, fun. Definitely a very interesting, entertaining week of wrestling. Got kind of two different levels to it. Monday, gonna be covering TNA Wrestling. And then I will try my absolute best to cover Collision tomorrow. But yeah, overall, pretty dang good week. Can't wait to see more. Hopefully you guys like the video. Comment your favorite match or moment from this previous week of wrestling. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.